The first reason is that we get to the department, we do various discussions, consultations, we read, and so on, and then gradually I get to learn about all these things that were spoken about up to now. What happened in 2019 and so on. The work studies, the establishment, we get to discuss the imperatives of the 7th administration, and we deal with the organogram, and we come up with a new structure crafted on the basis of what had happened before, and we move on with the work. All right. It becomes imperative to me as minister that you can't have a duplicate structure or any other duplicate structures on top of what has already been put in place and what can deliver on the mandate of the 7th administration in the form of this organogram, catering for all that SAPS could do or can do in order to meet the mandates and the imperatives of the 7th administration. And I'm saying I'm convinced that if this organogram is implemented, it will have an impact on murders, on firearms and so on crime in South Africa, based on this, if we go on. So you streamline, you say, I've got the machinery now, as we have signed off now. And it is important to note that there is no one, when we did this, who said, put in the organogram the National Political Killings Task Team. It has been there for 5, 6, 7 years. Put it on the organogram. No one said so. Not Commissioner Masimula, not the other generals, including General Mkhwanazi or General Kumar. So we went on with the organogram until it was finalized. But we went on with this understanding that there is no task team that, including the National Political Killings Team, Political Killings Task Team, it was never meant to be permanent. It was even referred to as a project. In many documents, is reflected on as a project. Now, if it's a project, it tells you that as a project, it would have a particular time frame of starting, particular funding, and particular time of ending. It's not a permanent project. So that's the first reason. Second reason, I began to say, I got to interact with a lot of people. Deputy ministers also got to interact with many people. Now, others made written inputs and others didn't. The categories of people who were speaking to us are different. Maybe let me start with the one that even finally made me write on the 31st of December. A number of people who were part of the National Political Task Team sent WhatsApps to me and to the deputy ministers over a long period, shortly after we started working in SAPS. Others, as I've said, would want to see me privately, confidential. And we had talks. And there are quite a number. Now, those people would say we don't want to be revealed. We don't want to be known. We just are coming here to say there are these particular issues. And let me categorize them. They are in two categories, those issues. They are of an HR nature. The practices within the National Political Killings Task Team, the way they practiced HR matters or handled HR matters. Two, they are of a nature that made me feel that if these matters are not attended to expeditiously, they have potential, if not already, of damaging the reputation of SAPS, amounting to others defeating the ends of justice. So they were in two categories. Now, those matters, as I've indicated, they were detailed in the conversations in various forms that I've indicated. Now, I had to process. First, we started with a meeting on the 21st of November with the two deputy ministers convened by me to say, what are you picking up since we started? So each one of us said, hey, because we were specific, we're discussing what we were receiving, the complaints, the grievances, and all of that. So we discussed this. Others we had already started addressing by allocating, you address the problem of so and so, you address the problem of so and so, and that was done. And we're beginning to do work. But I convened this specific meeting. The resolution in that meeting said, Minister, these things that we have shared here are important. Go and engage the National Commissioner. That is what came out. We didn't discuss the detail of the form it must take and all of that. It was just go and engage the National Commissioner on all these matters that we've just discussed and other related matters. Now, I will come back later to say what then happened. But because we didn't discuss the nature of the form in which it was left upon me to really look at how I would go about engaging the National Commissioner, which I did. And it took some time before I could satisfy myself that this is the form it must take. Now, let me put a comma there. That's the first reason. That's the second reason. The other reason is around there were also a lot of other information that we got. I had already mentioned Professor Meriti Haas, that she's one of the people who called us, wrote to Parliament, and so on. And there's one thing that I normally do. Meriti Haas is a well-established...
Who is Meriti Haas? We've heard her name here now many times.
Meriti Haas is a KwaZulu-Natal-based violence monitor who has been there over time. I've never had the opportunity, as far as I can recall, of having met her, but I do read the stuff that she produces.
Yeah, she wrote a letter.
Yes.
Look at the letter.
Okay. That's the person I'm talking about.
The bundle in the Exhibit 4. It's at pages 14 to 21, Exhibit 4.
Yes.
So, you never met her?
If I recall, if it happened, it happened. It must have happened some time ago, long time ago.
when you were the
but
Premier.
not when I was MSc or Premier or what. I don't recall, let alone after becoming minister.
And
But I've read her statements.
so she's not an advisor to you.
Not at all.
You hadn't met her. She writes to you
Merely as minister,
on the
I suppose.
31st of October 2020.
She wrote to the portfolio committee.
And she wrote to the portfolio committee.
She's not an advisor either there. She wrote to them as well. All right.
So, and you don't know her?
Then I read what she wrote.
You've never met her. You don't know her personally. Did you check out her credentials?
No, I know her.
You know her?
Yes. She has been there in KZN for a long time. It's difficult to miss anyone who is in parliament who comes from there. You would have heard or known or read.
Even I don't come from there, but I've heard of her over the years. And then to be fair, she's at times she bravely stood her ground during the apartheid years, and there was police brutality. So I do, but I'm not sure that if she writes a letter to me and I'm the Minister of Police, I'm necessarily going to take her advice or take her seriously.
No, I haven't said I took her advice. I merely said she wrote to me.
Well, you're not dealing with your reasons. The Merida House letter is one of those reasons.
She wrote a letter to me. I'm still telling the story, what happened. So she wrote to me and I read it. But let me open up about what I normally do when I receive letters or calls. I normally don't ignore when people write or call me. I tried and make an effort to respond to what they say. There are many people who have phoned me over time, but I've never met them. But sometimes I respond to them. So I did look at the letters and so on. And I also read her correspondence to the portfolio committee. If I'm not mistaken, she would have written to me and CC'd them to me and so on. Now, I do also ask my communications people to get articles written by people about South African Police Service, to get them to me in the form of copies and so on. Not with the purpose of responding to, but getting to know what they have to say about South African police, including her. So I then indicate what she was saying on various occasions about that, and I read those things that she spoke about. Then there's another lady called Patricia Mashale, who write almost every second day about South African police, especially on the negative side. So I read what she writes, but I've never responded and I've never called her to discuss any of her articles or letters or WhatsApps or whatever. I just read and keep. And at some point, the way she writes to us, I got a bit worried because she seems to know quite a lot of things, including letters written by this person or that person within SAPS. So I asked the IGI to say, can you give me, can you work on the profile of this lady? I just need to know more about her, and he did. And he wrote back to me about what he was saying to me about her and so on. Basically saying, well, his own understanding of her, having profiled her, his understanding of her is mixed. There are things that she says that are true, but there are others that are true, but she continues to write and sometimes about something that is a mere rumor that doesn't exist and so on. So her correspondence was mixed.
So you got someone to do a little bit of homework on Ms. Mashale?
Yes, because I didn't know her. It's not like Mary Dehas, who I knew.
You didn't need anyone to do any homework on Ms. Dehas?
Mary?
Dehas.
Yeah, I've said I know Mary. Yeah. I've known her for a long time, particularly through her writings and what she says and so on. That's what I said. Not Moke.
I think she also appeared before the Morani.
Yes.
Some kind of
but Mashale, I had never met and I had not heard, but she was really posting things and so on. And then I asked the IGI to look at and write to me about her, and he did, and I read it. And at some point, I shared the understanding of the IGI with National Commissioner to say, hey, this is what IGI is saying about Patricia Morgan. But National Commissioner, she has also written to her or sent WhatsApp to him and so on. We just shared that generally and we passed.
Okay.
Now, there's the second category.
Yeah, before you proceed, there is a hand from Honorable Malema.
No, thanks, Chair. I understood the minister to have said he asked the IGI, which will mean Inspector General of Intelligence, to check on this person. Now, after he gave that answer, the SC says, you are saying you asked on someone to do homework. You can't refer to IGI as someone. He has to be referred to as IGI consistently. Yes. You can't make that mistake because it's going to disappear. He said he asked IGI to check on her, and the SC says, oh, you asked on someone. It can't be. It has to be one answer, and the minister answered that. So I just wanted us to have the same understanding.
That it must go to the record as the person that the minister requested to check on Miss Patricia Mashale. That person is the Inspector General of Intelligence.
Point taken, Honorable Malema.
Yes.
So I wrote to the IGI and he then responded.
So, Minister, you say the name of the person is Miss Patricia Mashale?
Yes. Okay. Yes, sir.
And the matter was referred to the Inspector General of Intelligence?
Yes, because in particular, she would write about crime intelligence matters quite extensively. And she would send emails and so on. That's why I went to the Inspector General of Intelligence. And then I got the advice in writing about her. Now,
so when you say that she used to write extensively about intelligence matters, what do you mean? You mean it's unusual for a person in her position to write about those matters? Or did she have a more than sufficient information that you would ordinarily expect her to have?
No, what she did is write and send you a WhatsApp on your phone on a frequent basis, not regular, frequent basis. She would send you documents which appear to be subs documents, genuine, but send them to you. She would send you reports of one situation or the other, criminality, and so on. She wrote also about, she sent me about that those weapons and people that we found in Mpumalanga. She wrote.
I want to know, is she qualified to be in possession of such information?
I wouldn't say she qualifies because
Not all of it. Other information may be general or public information that everybody knows is reported in the news. So what we want to establish is whether is there some of the information which when she converses with you, you get worried that an ordinary civilian may not have to be in possession of information like this one because this is SAP's information.
the frequency with which she wrote and the stuff she wrote and sent and so on is the one that made me say, who is this person? IGI, can you profile? And after that, I spoke to the National Commissioner who confirmed that he too does receive those kinds of things from Patricia. And she likes doing that on a frequent basis, almost to everybody and so on. That's the nature of things. And I'm merely mentioning in passing that she also did write. Now, this is what we were talking about, not necessarily in detail with the deputy ministers. Now, I said I would come back to that other category I started with, but this is what happened. The other reason is around budget matters. Now, on budget, I'm trying to check my submission where I wrote about budget. On budget, I've already indicated that throughout, let me indicate that throughout our discussions with SAP's management, from when we arrived during orientation up to the end of the year and beginning of the year, there was always focus and emphasis on the decreased budget. In other words, decreased resources within SAPS. You would ask, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? They will always say, there's no money. There's no money. Even after we identified what we referred to as priorities, ministerial priorities that were expanding on the other priorities of the state as a whole. But they continued, like technology, for instance. We have had extensive discussions on technology. And they continued to say, well, yeah, we take those priorities, infrastructure in the form of police stations and other enablers, as we call them. But they continued to say, there's no budget. We don't have all the money. We hear you, we hear the priorities and so on, but there's no money. And therefore, this was lingering in my mind all the time to say, where can we make better of resources to SAPS because of the shortage? So budget allocated to SAPS was one of the main factors, key factors that made us think, what is that we need to do? When we took the decision to disband the police inspectorate, what we had in mind was, how do we optimize the resources that we have? Because you have people in office in the form of police inspectorate who you may seemingly not require in that form, but you require them, their skills, their experience, and their work elsewhere. You definitely need them. And so that's why we then say, maybe we need to redeploy them elsewhere, optimizing on the budget. Now, as we did so, the budget allocated to SAPS became one of the things that I considered when I wrote the letter, to give effect to more optimization of our resources from within SAPS, and we did that. Now, the budget became quite a difficult subject. I want to, on my supplement, say something about this. It came to a point where, on the budget, we had to consider certain things. One of them is what I heard the National Commissioner mention during the commission, Madlanga Commission, and subsequent I heard, when I listened to Kumalo, General Kumalo, I heard him say, I will repeat those things. They were, in responding to questions that were asked, responded using the language inclusive of traditional ways of investigation, normal ways of investigating, common ways of investigating. Of course, they were responding. But what it revealed, without them intending to do so, was that in police, we make a differentiation between a way in which political killings task team, which is efficient, which is good, the way in which they investigate cases, good. Let me not talk about results, just good, that they approach things that way. But this is confined to a specific category of people. The rest of the people are condemned to common ways of investigating, traditional ways of investigating, and common ways of investigating. Now, from where I sit as minister, we can't go on like that. You can't say, because it's a public representative, I must employ this particular specialized way of investigating. But because it's not a public representative or it's not an induna, let us use the normal or traditional or common way of investigation. The Constitution doesn't say so. What we rather can do is to take the experience that the National Political Task Team has gone through. You then make it apply all over as a good practice, different from the practice that is called traditional, that is called normal. To me, this is one of the ticking bombs in the South African Police Service, especially when you pronounce it that there are various levels of in terms of quality of investigating. That talks to your ethics. It talks to your kind of mentality, the kind of practice that you want to see established and perpetrated within SAPS. You don't want to do that from my side. And the Constitution doesn't allow us to do that. We need to improve. If there's a particular experience that we've gained from a province in one way or the other, let it be taken and duplicated elsewhere, because everybody requires speciality and attention. We can't justify it on an ongoing basis. It's unfair and unconstitutional. So I'm on the budget that it has got dynamics in it such that, in summary, you need to optimize how you use your budget. And I'm saying there are ways in which we have intervened to optimize. We even held a meeting. We called it the optimization of the budget. How effective, how efficient would we use the budget for this particular purpose? Now, there are issues, I've already indicated a number of them, that we are doing very badly in. I've already given technology. At one point, it was very painful to listen to police in one district in the Eastern Cape saying, when they were briefing us, saying, Minister, one of the challenges we have, frustrations we have, is that we have old equipment in subs. And our targets in the form of criminals, they use advanced equipment. And in detecting them, they are the ones who detect us, and they run away from us because they know we have old technology, and they will be able to tell where we are, and they will go to the other way. And then when we go to the other way, once our technology indicates something, then by the time we reach there, they are no longer there. So technology, we're not good at all. We're quite bad in technology, quite low on technology. The next one is police accommodation. There are police stations that are terrible in South Africa, quite a number. You get calls, you get grievances. At one point, I attended to a meeting requested by the Honorable Chief Whip, the Honorable Ntuli, to his constituents. He was saying, come and listen to a number of people in my constituency about a police station in Maran Hill. And as I did that, I come from Ngolezana Township in Mbangel. I know police operated from a shell that I am very, very embarrassed about, a police station in the area where I come from. But there are many others which are like that. When you look at them, you can't believe that there's somebody working there or who can do any good job, just looking at the structure of the building itself. And we are far behind with huge backlogs on police stations. So we need money like hell. And then support to detectives. Detectives wear clothing like us, but they have 1,000 rand allowance per year, per month, to buy suits and so on because they're detectives. They're even worse off than those who are in uniform because they get distributed with the uniform. So we needed to say, how to improve this situation as a matter of fact and not make assumptions. That's why we convened a workshop, 3-day workshop in March, to say, how do we improve some of these working conditions in subs, personnel and vehicles. If you hear somebody in subs saying that in our police station, there are only 4 vehicles, my guess would be there are more than 6 vehicles allocated there. It's just that half of the vehicles that are allocated to that police station are not functional. So out of 6, there are 3. So people will say there are only 3. In fact, there are 6. And it's a constant and consistent grievance out there for which you need to respond by availing resources, lack of forensic labs. I'm identifying priorities which need funding, for which even the portfolio committee can't assist us and Treasury can't assist us. So we have to find resources inside. Deteriorating budget, equity in remuneration. As we speak, much as we were able to raise salaries after the workshop, allowances, I would call them. Now, I'm sure there are very few people in Parliament who are aware that these units that we're proud of, like TRT, like NIU, maybe NIU a little bit better, but other units, task force, POP, and all of that, get very little money. Maybe around 4,000, around 5,000 a month. And these are married people. These are adults. They get very little with the training, specialized training that they have. And it's painful. But as we talk now, after the workshop in March, we were able to raise the salaries of all the others except TRT. They are still where they are. And it's painful. But I am aware that the people in PKTT, it's not a fault of those who are in PKTT, their claims are far better than those in all other units. I'm talking about units, while they are only a task team. They have better cars, they have better accommodation. All these others, including detectives, they use barracks and they use private homes of people, and they're vulnerable and so on. So we need to bring equity on those matters. Now, I'm then saying this is one, just the dynamics of the needs for the budget, which made us think that we need to optimize and so on. Now, let me go on to another reason.
Suppose the chair, can we take a short break?
Yeah, I wanted to check how many more reasons are left, because we want you to break.
Okay. Now,
how long will it take you to present all those reasons?
I'm sure if you give me another 30 minutes, taking delight that tomorrow I'm back here. And I want to explain to the chair. Chair, from the 6th of July, I'm wearing General Mchunu's. From the 6th of July, I'm smelling General Mchunu's. And this is the first opportunity that I'm getting to explain myself. And I'm going to do justice to that. And I'm pleading with you to give me the opportunity to do that, considering as well that he has gone to the commission for quite a long time, piling the accusations
on a point of order,
and so on. So I'm responding to those.
On a point of order.
Let me take, because I didn't want you to debate them.
On a point of order.
Let me take the two hands, Honorable Malema, Honorable Skosan.
No, I don't think you explained properly to a minister. We're not leaving. We're asking how long will you take to respond to this question so we can break for comfort break and come back. You are still with us. We can be here until 2 in the morning. Don't worry. We're just asking for comfort break.
I would say, thank you very much for that. I'm very, very comfortable. And I'm subject. I thought that you were saying once you want to break. So I'm obliged to your direction, to your directives.
Yeah. I wanted
to finish just the reason.
To say to you that
the reasons.
Because you have listed reasons.
Yes.
So I wanted to know how many reasons now are left for you to conclude that part.
Okay.
So that we can give you a comfort break.
Okay. I can do this in, say, 20 minutes to wrap up.
That is too much.
Yes.
So we must break now.
Okay.
And then come back after that 20 minutes.
Okay.